Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Tuesday morning edition of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt. We're here every single morning, wherever you get your audio podcasts, YouTube, on the BettingPros YouTube for video. BetMGM, the sponsor of this podcast, to get the $10 offer to win $150 for any new user that goes and signs up with a new account with BetMGM. Promo code JUICE150 at sign up to get $150 in free wagers from BetMGM. BetMGM.com, anywhere but essentially the state of Nevada that BetMGM operates. Juice 150 at sign up. Okay, so I got a couple cool things. To start, 0-3 night. So we had been rolling and we had been winning consistently. We had a very good 9-day stretch. And look, you're going to cool off. And so last night was the cool off. We should have had overtime with UNH and Stony Brook. They took a 3 at the buzzer. Game's tied, 65-65. So it's 130. We have the over 140.5. So we need 10.5 more points. Air ball. Ball is caught and laid up with literally 0.2 to go on the game. UConn wins the game 67-65. If that shot goes up 3/10 later, we go to overtime where we only need, 6 baskets combined. Pretty much we get the over if it goes to overtime. It still could have been a sweat, but I think we get the over. Kansas, unfortunately, loses by 3 at home on the road to Texas. Texas played well down the stretch. KU did not play well at the end of either halves, so they lose that game. That was a bummer. And then Arizona just boat raced Arizona State. And my gosh, points and points and points and points. I was really surprised at how many points Arizona State scored and how many points Arizona State gave up. They got into a track meet. Why would you get into a track meet with Arizona if you're Arizona State? I have no idea why that went the way that it did, but they got blown out, and so 0-3 on the night. Okay, so here's what's going on. I am headed to Los Angeles now here today, and I will do my other show, and then I will head to LA. So coming up tomorrow, you guys will get the Daily Juice from Los Angeles. Where? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on, but because it is Super Bowl week, we do have a new sponsor that I'm going to tell you about here in just 1 second because, well, you guys know that I'm the Creighton guy. I'm the Omaha guy, and, well, Omaha Steaks has stepped up. So I'm going to give you an Omaha Steaks prop bet for the big game every single day here this week, okay? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay? I'm going to give you a prop bet today I'm going to give you 2, okay? Because it's day 1. I'm going to give you 2 bets that I like prop bet wise. We will have the live stream where I will give you additional prop bets. I've told you this before. I've got a stake in the ground for Bengals money line at plus 750 going back to the pre-Chief game. I'm going to have a Rams bet going, and I've got Bengals plus 4.5. I'm probably not going to get involved with the total. I don't think so, but I'm going to go pretty heavy on the prop bets and have a lot of fun with the prop bets. So I'll give you 2 prop bets here coming up in just 1 second. I will give you 2 college basketball bets. 1 college basketball bet that I like, 1 NBA bet that I've made. So 2 bets officially, and then I've got to make a play on the Creighton game. I got to tell you at least what's going on with Creighton because, well, Omaha Steaks is here. Omaha Steaks, someone I've worked with before in the past. For 5 years, I was the pre- and post-game show host for Creighton University basketball. I also did Afternoon Drive in Omaha, where I got to know a lot of people who worked in the cattle industry, steakhouses, and just the overall beef industry in Omaha. And Omaha Steaks, my goodness gracious, that was my first ever real exposure to Omaha, was through Omaha Steaks because, well, the steaks are unbelievable, right? We all like to grill. It's football. The weather here, at least in Vegas and the West Coast, it's going to be 75 all week, and it's going to be 85 in Los Angeles. It's already springtime really kicking up here. So that means in certain parts of the country, it is time to get outside and grill for March Madness and coming up here for the big game on Sunday. So Omaha Steaks, they come and say, hey guys, here's the deal. We want to get involved with the Daily Juice audience. And I said, well, I'm the Creighton guy and I'm the Omaha guy. This is great. Let's absolutely do this. So here's what they are doing for the Daily Juice audience. They've got an offer for you guys. And I've told them, hey, these guys will support the companies that support the podcast, okay? This is how we keep going for free with this podcast, is we support the businesses that step up. So if you are in the need for some cool, great, wonderful food, if you're a big griller like I am, if you like steak, well, here's what Omaha Steaks is going to do. They've got the warm up your winter package with all your favorites here. You're going to go to omahasteaks.com. You're going to enter in juice into the search bar, okay? Juice into the search bar. You're going to order the Omaha Steaks sampler. What you're going to get, you're going to save over 50% on the listed price, plus they're going to give you 12 free Omaha steak burgers for free, okay? So you order, you're getting it half off, plus you're getting free with your order 12 steak burgers from Omaha Steaks. The package has it all. It's got butcher cut filet mignon. It's got caramel apple tartlets. Everything in every order is backed by 100% satisfaction guarantee. It gets delivered right to your doorstep. Nobody has to worry about shopping or going out. It comes directly to you. Go to omahasteaks.com, type in that keyword juice in the search bar, and take advantage of these exclusive offers. They even have a touchdown game day package ready to go if you want to expand it a little bit more, get something bigger. They got a touchdown game day package. There's a reason why Omaha Steaks has been the leader in gourmet steaks and really deliverable food since 1917. These guys have been around for a really, really long time. Nobody comes close to matching the flavor, the tenderness, and the value of Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com, type in that keyword juice to take advantage of this offer. 50% off the Omaha Steak sampler today, and you get 12 free Omaha Steak burgers. And it's time for the Omaha Steaks prop bet of the day. I'm going to give you two of them, okay? Now, it'll be one a day, but since it's the start of our Omaha Steaks juice, campaign, as you want to call it, I'm going to give you two bets here today. Okay, let's start with, I think, which is a pretty easy one. Joe Burrow to throw more than one touchdown in the big game, okay? So Joe Burrow, minus 145, over 1.5 touchdown tosses. How are the Bengals going to score? Like, ask yourself that question. How are the Bengals going to score? Are they going to score by running the football with Joe Mixon in the red zone? I mean, come on, right? It's hard to see this game being low scoring to me. It's hard for me to see the passing attack for the Bengals to be completely shut down. They threw 2 touchdown passes against the Chiefs. Didn't throw any against the Titans, but he threw for 348 yards. Burrow threw for 2 touchdowns against the Raiders. So he's hit this 2 of 3 games here in the postseason. Against the Chiefs at the end of beginning of January, he threw 4 touchdowns, 4 against the Ravens, 2 against the Niners, 3 against the Jets, 3 against the Ravens, 3 against the Niners, 3 against the Steelers, 2 against the Bears, 2 against the Vikings. I mean, Joe Burrow has thrown for 34 touchdowns here, and it's the Super Bowl. If they go down, if this is like what everyone says, it could be a Rams blowout, don't you think Joe Burrow is going out on his shield by throwing the football all over the place? It's hard to see Joe Burrow not throw more than 1.5 touchdowns here. First prop for the big game, Joe Burrow over 1.5 touchdown tosses at minus 145. So that will be how we'll do the Omaha Steaks prop bet of the day, but we're going to do it twice today because of the starting of the campaign here with Omaha Steaks. We're going to go to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, longest completion is 39.5 yards at minus 110. Now, these numbers are all, I'm getting these at the Westgate here in Vegas. You guys might get these numbers in other places. But looking at the long completion here, Matthew Stafford has hit over 39.5 for a longest completion 10 times in the regular season, and he's hit it twice in the postseason. He had a 70-yarder against Tampa. He had a 41-yarder against Arizona, a 29-yarder against San Francisco, but I don't think the Bengals are going to slow down this passing attack. And look, it could be a swing pass that turns into a 40-yarder, okay? We just seen one 40-yard completion. The long completions for Matthew Stafford this season: 46 against San Francisco in the last week of the regular season. He had 42 against Seattle, a 52-yarder against Arizona, a 43-yarder against Jacksonville, a 79-yarder against Green Bay, a 68-yarder against Houston, a 59-yarder against Detroit, a 68-yarder against Seattle, a 75-yarder against Tampa, a 67-yarder against Chicago, a 44-yarder against Indianapolis. Like I said, 10 times this has gone over 39.5, and it's minus 110. I think this is an absolute slam dunk bet here with Matthew Stafford to have one really long completion where they throw the ball down the field. It could be a slant pass to Cooper Kupp. It could be a ball down the field to somebody that we're not expecting. But this is just what has happened. A guy gets loose. Maybe somebody we're not expecting gets a screen pass and goes. Maybe it's Sony Michel. Maybe it's Cam Akers, and they get the ball and they go. 40 yards is the number we need. We need a 40-yard completion for Matthew Stafford. Quarter unit bet on over 1.5 touchdowns for Joe Burrow at minus 145. Quarter unit bet on over 39.5 yards at minus 110 for the longest completion for Matthew Stafford. Those are our first two prop bets of the Super Bowl. Omaha Steaks will bring those to you guys here on the Daily Juice podcast each and every day. All right, I do have two other bets to give you guys. And let's talk about Auburn on the road up against Arkansas. So Auburn's been leaking oil here. All right, Auburn's only lost one game on the year, but Auburn has been stumbling and bumbling here a little bit. On the road at Arkansas. This is exactly the situation I've been eyeballing here. And I'm telling you, in February, home dogs, especially teams that are good at home, Arkansas 8-6 against the number at home. Arkansas 6-4 against the SEC against the number. They're 7-3 over the last 10 against the number, and they've covered their last 4 games. Auburn, after their big win again at home against Alabama, where they won by 19 points, and we were on them, turned around and went on the road to Georgia, 16-point favorites. They won by 2. Against Missouri, they were laying 12.5, and they won by 1, okay? This team, in their last 2 road games against inferior competition, they just haven't really focused, okay? They're undefeated in the SEC. They are due to lose, okay? They are due to lose. I think tonight could be the night that Auburn gets beat outright by Arkansas, but to me, I'm going to take the 2 points. Arkansas, 13-10 against the spread this season, but I think this is one of those games on the road, hostile environment. I don't know, man. I think this Arkansas team has enough athletes to get the job done here and to knock off the number 1 team in the country. I think there's a darn good chance we're watching a court storm here by Arkansas. I'm taking the +2, though. Arkansas +2, half a unit at home against Auburn. These are the games that are so tough in college basketball, man. They're so tough. And I've got one NBA game where I'm basically betting the streak, and it happens to involve my team. Phoenix at Philadelphia is an awesome game. I will try very hard to watch that game and to have. I'm probably going to be driving during when it's going on, but Brooklyn is hosting the Boston Celtics. When Brooklyn plays at home, no Kyrie Irving. This team has lost 8 consecutive games. They have covered once or twice in the last 10 games played for Brooklyn. They lost to Denver by 20, Utah by 23, Sacramento by 11, Phoenix by 10, Golden State by 4, Denver by 6, Lakers by 10, Minnesota by 11. The majority of the games have been on the road, but 2 of those games have been at home. They lost by 6 at home to Denver, and they lost by 10 at home to the Lakers. Boston, on the other hand, has turned a corner. They've won 5 games in a row. They've covered 3 of those 5 games. They beat Orlando on the road by 33 points. They beat Detroit on the road by 9. They were 10.5-point favorites there. They beat Charlotte at home by 6. They beat Miami by 30 at home, and they beat New Orleans by 10 on the road. 2 of the last 3 games on the road, Boston has covered. On the year, Boston hasn't been great against the spread, but they do have a winning number, 14-12-1 on the road. Brooklyn's is 5-19-1 against the spread at home this season. 5-19-1. We bet the streak last time out with Brooklyn against Denver. We're betting the streak again. Laying 5. Boston -5 on the road against the Nets. They're a mess. Harden, KD. I mean, is Harden going to play? I don't even know. Doesn't matter. Even if he does. I think Boston has turned a corner here. They're playing defense. They're actually playing good basketball. Take the hotter team against the cold team, and you know Boston loves to beat up on the Nets just because Kyrie, even though he's not playing, because Kyrie's there. We're going Boston -5 for a half a unit. Okay, so 2 plays, half a unit each. Arkansas to cover, to win outright maybe, but Arkansas +2 against number 1 ranked Auburn. Celtics -5. Now, since the folks at Omaha Steaks, they're coming to me because 1, they're in Omaha, and 2, they know about my Creighton ties. I got to tell you that the Creighton Blue Jays are at home laying 7.5 points against Butler. On the road, the Jays lost by 17 points to Butler. Now, Hinkle Fieldhouse is always a house of horrors, but I don't like the way that the Blue Jays have been playing at all. 7.5 points seems to be in my opinion, is way too heavy. If I was going to bet this game, at the moment, I have not bet this game. I might at some point get involved with this game. I could do a UConn and Creighton moneyline parlay. That isn't horrible. UConn against Marquette, backs against the wall. They've got to win the game, but they're laying 6.5 points against Marquette. Marquette's playing really well. Shaka Smart's got that team rolling. That feels heavy. And the Creighton Blue Jays, well, at home, they're 4-6 against the number. On the road, Butler is 5-5 against the number, but they're 8-15 overall, 5-7 against the Big East. Creighton is 6-4 against the Big East, but like the Jays just have been playing lost by 19 on the road at Seton Hall. They did beat UConn, but that was a really ugly game in the follow-up. Xavier beat them up pretty bad at home, lost by 10, and Butler, that 17-point loss after that. Jays have lost 3 of 4. They're young players. It's a really young roster. They might be hitting a wall, and it might be tough for them. I mean, maybe the Jays win, but I think if I was going to bet it, I would take Butler +7.5. I think that's too many points here, but not going to play it because I'm not confident in Butler either, but I figured I'd give it to you because, well, Omaha and Creighton and Omaha Steaks just felt like the right thing to do. Okay, so our Omaha Steaks prop of the day, we're taking Joe Burrow, or 2 of them. Joe Burrow over 1.5 touchdown tosses at -145, and we're going over 39.5 yards as the longest completion for Matthew Stafford at -110 in the big game. Arkansas +2, half a unit. Celtics -5. Half a unit right there for us. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me on Twitter @SportsTalkMatt. Each and every morning, it's the Daily Juice Podcast. Always being brought to you by BetMGM.